Hi, this is Leo Laporte of This Week in Tech, and you're listening to Cliff Ravenscraft. He is the podcast answer man.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft with a special episode from On the Road. Of course, this is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you've been podcasting for many years, or you haven't yet quite recorded that first episode. There's something we can all do to take our show to the next level. And that might be podcasting from the road. Hey, guess what? In this special episode, I am being joined right now by my great friend, Anna Sophia Reinhardt. And she is from Switzerland, also from fightinganorexia.com and myintercontinentallife.com. She is a celebrity in the world of print media, live television, and also she has had her own documentary. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be on.
This is so exciting. So, by the way, folks, this is obviously, well, for those of you who are longtime subscribers, you know this is not our normal format. For those of you who have just found my show as a result of a Google search or something like this is not the way our show normally sounds. In fact, I encourage you to go check out an episode or two before this one, and you'll see what our normal audio quality and format for the show. We're breaking from that this week to bring to you some exciting things that have been happening here in the West Coast of the United States.
Absolutely. It's what we're about to tell you is epic. Right?
Absolutely epic. Why were we in the West Coast?
Well, we were here for BlogWorld LA, and Cliff, of course, has had a session there. And then we flew up to Oakland. And why, Cliff? What did we do here?
Well, I had this dream a long time ago of one day getting the opportunity to meet Leo Laporte, and so we drove up to the TWiT studios.
We did, and it was quite a day.
Quite a day. It's been quite a journey. I'll tell you what, I would like to start off by just asking you, with this being your first, this was the first podcasting conference of any kind that you've been to, right?
Yes, it has.
All right, so BlogWorld, going into it, what did you think it might be like?
You know what? I really had no idea. I had no expectations. I was, I just went and I thought, all I want to do is, connect, network, meet people, talk, see what they're doing, exchange ideas. I wasn't really going for, the sessions. Of course, I went to many great sessions, but that was not really why I went there. It was more, of course I knew you were there. So that was the reason why I went, to see you talk. But then again, I met Wayne Henderson, which was amazing, and so many other great people. So that was kind of the main focus.
Very cool. Well, of course, for me, the reason why I attended was I was invited to speak, of course. You guys know me. I love to speak at conferences. It's one of my goals eventually is to have the opportunity to do some more professional speaking sometime in the future. It's not something like it's in early stages of planning right now, but I could see within the next 2 to 3 years maybe even getting a speakers bureau to kind of start managing some of that stuff for me. But being invited to speak at BlogWorld was amazing, and they gave me this wonderful opportunity that I could not pass up. I'd be crazy to pass up. And of course, now Anna, you've been around since GSPN.TV first started, actually before it was ever called GSPN.TV.
Yes, I have. And, well, I've been there every step of the way. I have been there, when you were still doing insurance, and when you quit your job, and when, through all the difficult years. And it's been awesome to see how you've grown and, to see what you have accomplished.
It's been an amazing journey. Now, Anna, by the way, has been there since episode 1.
Yes.
Episode 1 of the Generally Speaking podcast back at the time. So it's been fun to have her come and participate here in BlogWorld and to be a part of the community. And one of the most exciting things, that there were 3 things that I looked forward to coming to the West Coast. Number 1, I had never been to the West Coast before. And for me, that was a big deal. Coming to California and visiting LA was a big deal because for so many years, literally thousands of subscribers to all of our various podcasts live in California or somewhere close enough to where, wow, if there was something going on the West Coast and Cliff was around, hey, tell me, I'll be there. And so, of course, unfortunately, with the way things worked out, it was kind of short notice before I had any official confirmation. Although you guys probably saw my video interview I did with Rick Calvert, CEO and co-founder of BlogWorld, where he pretty much confirmed then that, yes, Cliff, we want you at LA, and you're going to be there. And of course, I didn't have any confirmations until a couple weeks ago. So I wasn't able to promote it as much as I wanted to, but I knew that coming to the West Coast, coming to LA, if I threw a GSPN meetup, that I would get to meet people that I've known for years that I've never seen face to face, and that became a reality. So one of the more exciting things for me was actually we officially had 2 GSPN.TV meetups. The first one, though, we had the LA meetup. Can you tell people a little bit about that meetup?
Well, we went to Trader Vic's, what's it called?
Yeah, Trader Vic's.
And we had such a fantastic evening. It was, like I said, Wayne Henderson, whom I've met for the very first time, and he's also one of the, very early on GSPN.TV members. And that was amazing to meet him and talk to him. Karen from Denmark was there, and so many great people. We had dinner and just talked and had a generally good time. It was amazing. I really enjoyed myself on that evening.
It was, and I want to just say a special word of thanks to my great friend Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com and Tuning In with Wayne, and what else is there? There's Fringe Casting with Wayne and Dan, and the Green Bay Packers fan podcast, whatever. He's got it all going on. But anyway, I want to say a special thank you to him because he's the one who organized the location and getting our reservations and taking care of all those details. I mean, I tell you, he was a huge help for us, and he made that possible. So thank you, Wayne, for that. And it was great. We had about 14 people there for dinner that night, and it was awesome because I personally knew everyone there. How many out of the 14 people? How many people would you say that you knew? You don't have to name them, but if you had to guess a number of how many of those people you knew or have interacted with, how many would you say?
I'd say 6 or 7. 6 or 7. Yeah. Yes. So there were a few that I connected that, just then, but we'd already talked in the last, 2 days. We were like, tweeting and all that. So, but yeah, half of them, I'd say. So
get this. You've got Anna. She's from Switzerland, and she comes to California, and she has she goes to a dinner party with 14 people, and she already knows very personally about 6 of those people in the room. And what's amazing is that you're not a very outspoken, let me go introduce myself and stuff like that, right?
No, not at all. No, I'm very shy usually, and yeah. So that's, the power of the community, the power of the GSPN community. We've known each other for years, and it was, like we always say, it's not as if we meet each other for the first time because we know each other, and yeah.
Right, and so in spite of the fact that you didn't know more than half of the people there, you still got to know those people.
Yes. And I don't know what it is. There's some kind of magic, or I don't know. It's just, the relationship.
It's the shared experience.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's like that. We're all here for the same reason. We all have found something special in the content and the community that is GSPN.TV. And because we have this shared experience, we already have something in common. So let's start a conversation there, and then build and the conversation can go in so many directions, but you've already kind of broken the ice by the fact that you have a shared experience.
Exactly. And we share this passion for podcasting, for whatever, which is still kind of out there, and that is something that binds us together, I guess.
Absolutely. And so the GSPN.TV LA meetup was phenomenal. It was a massive highlight of BlogWorld for me and the experience. And I just want to say, and I'm not going to name off every single person that was there, because I know for a fact that I would skip probably 3 names, and I don't want to just leave anybody out. So, but I'll tell you what, there were a couple people that I met for the very first time that were there that knew me very well, but I've only interacted with them maybe once or twice. And the one person, he actually did say, you know what, no, I've never reached out to you before. And I think it was Jim.
Yes.
And but I'm looking forward to getting to know those people. Then for me, another highlight for BlogWorld for me was my speaking, my session. And I tell you, I was just so passionate. I was so excited about what I was going to do. And I really felt like I had a strong message to share, and I didn't really care about the number of people who would show up. I had this overwhelming feeling that everyone who was going to be there were going to be people there that were going to hear the message that I had to share, and it was going to be meaningful and powerful for those people.
Absolutely. I have to say, hands down, it was the best session I attended. You were on fire, as always. You always speak with a lot of passion, but I talked to someone and she said she almost teared up a few times, because you're so convincing and so passionate about it, and it was a very inspiring session. You made a lot of great points, and you did a fantastic job. And the fact that you prepared the session at the morning of a few hours before you actually gave the speech was amazing.
It was sometimes that would make me very nervous, but I had full confidence this time around. I mean, the only thing before coming to LA, the only thing I had was the title, and I came up with the title at the last minute because, like I said, the details were just kind of finalized like 2 or 3 days before I got my airline tickets, and they had to overnight them to me to get in time, and so I gave them. She says, "Okay, so what's the title of your session?" I'm like, "Well, you guys were supposed to tell me what you wanted me to talk about." Well, he didn't. So, do you want to talk? You want to tell me something you want to talk about? I'm like, "How's this? Forget CPM. How to make our strategies for making real money with your podcasting efforts, or something like that." And I just came up with that title, and I knew that judging by what I know about BlogWorld and session titles and stuff like that, I knew that would draw in the target audience that I had, and these are the people who are duped to coming to all these sessions that talk about how to make lots of money, and they are given tons of information of things that you should do. Get your mailing list, get this, do that, do this, do that, because these are the things that I do, and that's what's going to make you extremely successful. And I just think that there's a bunch of baloney, because there's something that all of those people who are finding true success in podcasting and new media and blogging and making lots of money, there's other things that they've done, a foundation that needs to be laid, that they're missing out on. And you can do all of those things that I do. Here are and I said, listen, I'm going to tell you the strategies that I do. I'm going to talk about all the different streams of income that I bring income in from, but you could go out and do them and try to duplicate it, and you will not have the success that I have if you don't have the foundation of what brought me to where I am. And so I had a real strong passion and desire to tell those people that. And what's funny is that, again, I did not even begin to put my presentation slides together until Saturday morning at like 6 a.m. And literally the only thing I did was put a bunch of words, like that, just ideas in a couple words on slides. And then I said, you know what? Okay, I know, that's it. I didn't rehearse what I was going to say. And I just got up there and I spoke from my heart with the message I knew that I needed to share. And I you know, what's weird is I don't even know what I would have said that would have brought tears. And I do remember her saying that.
Yeah, it was the passion in your voice and the I understand her, and it's hard to explain, but you know, if someone is really, we could feel that you really love what you're doing, that it is not about the money for you, that
right.
It really is about the relationships and about connecting with others and living life together. That is how that is what I took out of that. But yeah, it just was the way you presented it. It
right.
was touching, Cliff. It really was. For me too.
Well, the good news is that I had recorded video and high-quality audio, of course, of my session, and I do intend to make that an episode of Podcast Answer Man, and it may be next week, and heavy emphasis on the may be next week, because it is video, my friends, and it will be a video episode, and video takes a long time to do it the way that I like to do it, which is high quality. Yeah. And so that's why I'm a huge fan of audio. But anyway, I plan on giving you guys that talk, my complete full talk. I may have shared some details about some specifics that I may kind of edit out, but trust me, you guys are going to get everything you need, and especially you'll get the message. And trust me, some of the details that I shared some pretty technical details about maybe some numbers that are involved, and which I'm not ashamed of or anything like that, but it's just like maybe putting that out to thousands of people maybe is not the best, but a room of 30 or 40 people is okay. But anyway, so be prepared. That's coming out soon, and I just want to say that was another major highlight of BlogWorld for me. Were there other highlights of BlogWorld? Something that just stands out to you right now?
Wow. Yeah, mostly, like I said, it was mostly the time in between the sessions where I met, Farnoosh Brock, and I love her. And I met a few people, and they were like, do you know her? And these things, like you just connect with other people, and you have this that was great for me. And then of course I do the Fighting Anorexia podcast, and for me it was like whenever I talked to someone, they either knew someone who had an eating disorder, or they themselves struggled with it, and that was also very great. We had some very deep conversations about that too. Yeah, so for me it was really the time in between the sessions.
Right. Absolutely. And the cool thing is you have an amazing story, and you, as we started off the show, you took the episode that I did a while ago when I talked to Joel Bogus and Pei Kang about making yourself newsworthy, and of course I shared it in an episode or two back, or you actually called in and shared. I think that we only shared that you got the newspaper article, yes, and stuff like that, but you also had a live television appearance and a documentary.
Yes.
A documentary.
Yeah, that was super exciting. We filmed the whole day, at the clinic where I was for 3 months, and we just, they did an interview with me, and then I had on Swiss television a short documentary about, how I struggled for 14 years, and then, when I decided to get better, and how that went, and how difficult the path to recovery is, but that there is hope, that recovery really can happen. So that was super interesting. It was that was definitely an experience I never thought I would happen. And that documentary actually led to me being invited on a TV show a live talk show. And yeah, so I had half an hour of me with a psychiatrist talking about eating disorders in general, and the increase of it, especially in Switzerland, where there are a lot of girls who are suffering from these eating disorders. So yeah, I've had a lot of fantastic exposure, and have been blessed to be able to help and reach out to girls and boys and young women and men, which is for me something that makes my struggle worthwhile. It makes everything that I've gone through just there's a reason for it. So that it's been great. I took your advice and I made myself newsworthy, and that was amazing.
That is amazing, and I have no doubt, because I know exactly what will happen as a result of your coming to BlogWorld. Those conversations where you met and networked with new people, and you said that you got the opportunity to talk about this findinganorexia.com and your story and behind it, and I just know for a fact that as a result of that, it's only going to lead to more things. And here's the thing: you may not have known some of the people that you talk to, and who they are, and they may have just not have said, oh, well, I know, but it's like there may be like a little spark that has been kindled that's going to turn into something big one day. And that's what I love about these conferences is you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And that's a third. Am I on my third highlight?
Yes.
So I shared the LA meetup, my talk, and now I'm going to go to my third highlight of BlogWorld. And I'm not actually going to share the full details. Now, I have shared the full details. I'm just not going to share the name of the person.
Yes.
All right, I won't share the name of the person, but I will share with you the full details of the third highlight. And for me, this is a total God thing, okay? I know that some people are not interested in my faith-based kind of ways of thinking and stuff like that, but trust me, this one's not so heavily laced and stuff. And I just want to make sure, am I on the right path? I am.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the deal. I had a major sinus infection for the entire week before I left to go to BlogWorld, and it was what does that say? Merge ahead.
Yes.
Oh, it just means that people are coming in, so I need to let them merge. Okay, got it. Wow, is that the San Francisco Bay?
It is.
Wow. Cool. So we're just driving over this massive bridge over here. Okay, so anyway, I had this massive sinus infection, and I was trying to kind of push through and everything. I won't bore you with all the details there, but let's just put it this way. It was Friday morning. It was the day before I was speaking. Friday morning, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to call my doctor's office and see if they won't call me in some antibiotics. And turns out that I found out from my wife, actually, that my doctor had called me in some antibiotics a week earlier when I went in to see him, but he never told me that there were antibiotics there. So had he told me, I would have already been completely healed from my sinus infection. And because he didn't, I was still suffering from it. It was only getting worse progressively. So much so that Friday morning, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to BlogWorld. I'm calling right away. I'm going to call my doctor and see if they'll call me in some medicine, or if he'll, transfer my prescription to this LA Walgreens. And he said, yeah. They said, we'll talk to the doctor and he'll call you back. I waited 2 hours. And I'm not angry or upset that I've waited for 2 hours and stuff like that, but I called back after about 2 hours, and I said, hey, I hate to bother you guys, but I am sitting here in my hotel, and I want to go back to this conference, but I don't want to go the entire day without the medicines. If he's, oh, by the way, he called that in about 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay, well, thank you. And I was just excited to have the medicine. So I went over to Walgreens, pick up the medicine, and I finally stroll into BlogWorld on Friday morning, quite a bit late. I've missed the opening keynote that morning. I missed the first session, and I'm going to take my schedule and I'm going to plan out, what am I going to do the rest of the day now that my day's a little bit thrown off. So there's this conference hall that's pretty much emptied out. Almost everybody's gone, and I'm going to just go in there and have a seat for a few minutes and figure out what I'm going to do. And here's what happened. As I walk in, there's this woman walking out, and I will tell you, and I'll explain it to you the same way I've told a bunch of other people, and that she's a tall, slim, very, very attractive young lady. All right, she is very attractive. And as a married man, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to spend too much time like looking at her and so on. So I would I'd kind of just like, you know what? Let me just move on my way. And in the back of my head, I hear this voice, and it's not an audible voice, but it was very clear. And I'm telling you, if you ever wonder how God talks to us, this is how He talks to me. And I heard this was the message: smile and say hi. And I'm like, what? But I didn't even say what. It was just as clear as day that I should smile and say hi. And so I smiled at her. I looked at her in the eyes and I smiled and I said hi. And I will tell you what happened from there was out of this world. She smiled and said hi back, and she saw my speaker badge, and she says, "Oh, you're a speaker. What are you speaking on?" I got to talking about her, and she starts telling me about the fact that, I have a client that has been getting into podcasting and stuff like this. And I said, "Really? And tell me a little bit about it." And she says, "Oh, well, he's kind of struggling with it because he's just not happy with how things are going." I says, "Well, tell me a little bit about it." And she said the words Blog Talk Radio, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she said, and I asked her, I said, "How often?" I said, "Recorded telephone call." She goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And she said, I asked her how many downloads it gets, and she told me how many downloads. And I said, "Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty typical for that platform because that's." It's typical. And I said, "And how often does he do the show?" And she says, "He does the show 1 hour every day, 5 days a week." And she said that he actually gave up on it after a year and a half because it just never produced what he had hoped. And of course, again, she's never said who her client is. She's every time she's referred to him, it's my client. And we're still 6.4 miles, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So I said, I'm going to tell you 3 things that will radically transform your client's experience with podcasting. And I said, number 1, get rid of Blog Talk Radio. Number 2, spend a couple $100s on high quality audio equipment. And number 3, change your format to only 1 episode per week. And I explained to her the reason why between all of those. The Blog Talk Radio is the recorded telephone calls, and the fact that it forces you into a live show format and all this other stuff. And I gave her all those things. You probably heard me on Podcast Answer Man talk about all that stuff. And then number 2 was high quality audio. You guys listen to Podcast Answer Man. You know how I feel about all that. And then step number 3, the frequency of your show. I said you're overfeeding your audience. People, I do a lot of shows, and each of them are once a week. And when people get an episode or 2 behind, they start to feel overwhelmed, and they hate to miss episodes. And I said, and to think that you're feeding them 5 hours a week, the people can't consume it all. And so all those 3 things together are what's causing you to have the experience for your client that he has. So do those 3 things, it'll change everything. And I said, she asked me if she could play his audio. And again, I saw this person's image, and I didn't recognize him because he's an author, and so I would have recognized his name or his brand or something like that. But I just saw a picture of him from the side of the screen, and she clicked play, and she played his audio, and I'm like, oh. And she even saw my face. She saw me cringe, and she goes, "Yeah." He asked if there's something, and they said, "No, you should just use the telephone." And I'm like, no, they were totally wrong.
Yeah.
And so then I played her some of my shows, and she goes, "That's you?" And she goes, "Whoa!" And then I played her a little bit of Balanced Living Weekly with Father Roderick, and I said, "I want you to hear this voice," and it was my voice. And I said, "I want you to hear this voice," and I played a little bit of Father Roderick talking, and then she heard us talking back and forth, and I said, "You can tell that we're both in the same studio, right?" She goes, "Absolutely." I said, "Well, here's the deal. I'm in northern Kentucky, just outside of Cincinnati, and Father Roderick is in Amersfoort in the Netherlands." And her jaw about dropped. And she goes, "Do you think you'll have some time between now and December to come and visit with my client in his office to talk about how you might be able to help us?" And then she revealed to me who her client was. And my friends, I am going to leave you with a massive cliffhanger, because you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And to be honest with you, I don't want to tell you until it becomes a reality. But I will tell you this. You guys remember how big of a deal it was for me to meet Dan Miller. The 8th person I shared this story with was Dan Miller.
Really?
And Dan Miller was excited. I'm not kidding you. So let's just put it this way. Huge. It was huge.
Yes.
Out of this world. And here's what I want to tell you. And this is why this is the whole God thing. All right? Because I knew that if I just doing what I felt called to do and just do the right thing and just, I don't have to push everything. And if I need to get well and call the doctor and just miss a couple sessions, it's not the end of the world. I'm not, if it takes 2 hours and the doctor's office doesn't call me back, I don't need to get all angry and all this other stuff. I'm just as laid back as can be, no anxiety over the whole thing. It's just, it is what it is. And I got my medicine. I'm just thankful, and I'm just having a positive attitude, moving along. And here's the situation. She was walking out. I was walking in. It was almost to the point where she was at the door, so we had to come. I was coming in the door. She was walking towards the door. So at that very second was the opportune time for me to smile and say hello. 5 seconds earlier, 5 seconds later, that would have never happened. And if that would have never happened, BlogWorld would have still been awesome, but I had 3 major highlights instead of 2.
Yes.
And my friends, let me tell you, if this becomes a reality, look out, world. Mm-hmm. It is awesome.
It is.
So then Anna decided she was coming to BlogWorld, and she heard that I'm going to TWiT, to This Week in Tech with Leo Laporte. And you made plans, and I said, and I saw that you had plans, and I'm like, hey, do you want to get on the same flight? And so we flew up to Oakland together.
Yeah, stayed at a wonderful hotel that Cliff booked, and this morning we drove to San Francisco, across the Golden Gate Bridge like twice. It was fantastic. We drove around San Francisco, saw the cable cars, and of course the hills. It's a beautiful city. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was great. I enjoyed myself a lot this morning.
It was an amazing time. I'm so thankful that we made plans to stay in Oakland instead of driving right up to Petaluma after we got into Oakland, because San Francisco was great. It was supposed to rain today.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. We were sitting at breakfast this morning, and I pulled up my iPhone and I looked outside, and it's like, it's sunny out. And I showed Anna and I said, here's the 5-day forecast, and it shows rain for today. And I'm not kidding you. As we were sitting there, that moment, they changed the icon from rainy to sunny with partial. It changed it to partial rain, and it never rained.
No, it never rained, which might be because we were actually served by Jesus this morning.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I forgot about that. We were. Jesus served us this morning, and it's funny. It was. I don't know if you would say Latino or Mexican or But anyway, his name was Jesus.
Yes, it was.
And I tipped him extremely well because I did make a point to, it's like, oh, this is too cool, Jesus is serving us. And I felt sorry for the guy because I'm sure he gets that all the time. He's sick of it. So I made sure to tip him well. But yes, we were served by Jesus.
We were. He blessed our day. No, it really was good. It was a fabulous morning. We then drove to Petaluma, and Wayne Henderson had made this whole big deal about In-N-Out Burger. You know, the entire time he was like, you really should try and eat there. And we thought, both of us, we thought that it was a Southern Californian thing.
Yep.
But, on our way in to Petaluma, we actually saw one, or Cliff did at least. So we decided to have lunch at In-N-Out. And, for both of us, it was the first time.
Yep.
And now we can say we ate at In-N-Out. It was actually pretty good.
It was very good. I was surprised at how good a burger would be because I really don't eat a lot of burgers these days. But it was very good, and their fries were very good too.
They were, I have to say, you could really tell that they were fresh.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Their meat is never frozen, and everything's fresh.
Yeah.
It is, and that's weird. You don't really go to a fast food, and their French fries have been deep fried in cholesterol-free oil since like 1930 something or something. But it was very good.
It was very good. Yeah.
And so then, my friends, I started to get giddy like a little boy. I'm telling you, it's like I was just so overwhelmed with excitement. Heading on our way to the TWiT brick house. It was only about 10 minutes later we were there. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, man, I hope I get a chance to explain to Leo how much of an inspiration he's been to me, and that I'll be able to tell him a little bit about my story and who I am. Mm-hmm. And now here's the thing. Anna had the recorder on because I asked her if she would video it as I got to meet him for the first time. So he went to commercial break on the tech guy. And I walked. They told me, if you want to go and meet Leo, that's great. And I went and I walked in, and before I walked in, while he was doing the show, he looked at me as we walked by. They were giving me a tour. They were giving us a tour, and he looked at me as if he was looking. He's like, "Is that who I think it is?" It's like as if he recognized me. And I'm like, why is he looking at me like that? It's like, I'm sure other people are in here to get tour, but he looked at me. He's like, "Is that who I think it is?" But I'm like, surely I'm mixing that up. Anyway, so then after the end of the tour that we got of the brick house, then they said, if you want to go ahead and go in, the guy opened the door for us, and I walk in, and Leo's on break, and I went in to shake my hand and said, "Hey, Leo, my name is." He goes, "I know who you are. You're Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man." And he goes on, he's telling me about how much he has been watching my story.
And your progress, and how well you've been doing, and it was amazing. It really was. It was, for all of us, it was super exciting. He really knew who you were. He did.
It blew my mind. And here's the thing, of course, we had lots of great conversation. There were several, the other thing is you guys know, I did a special episode announcing that I was going to BlogWorld and I was going to go meet Leo and I was going to make that happen. And I said, we're going to have a meetup at TWiT. So I invited a bunch of people to come if they could to go visit Leo with us. And I can't remember if in the actual announcement that I put out in a podcast, if I said I was going to call it Occupy TWiT, or if it was just in the email I sent out to the newsletter. But I was saying, hey, we're gonna call this meetup Occupy TWiT. And I had a bunch of people say, you might not want to do that. Let me see. I have to get in the third lane. Actually, I'm in the lane that I need to be in. I'm navigating via TomTom while podcasting, and we won't tell anybody. That's our little secret. Okay, so anyway, so they said you may not want to call it Occupy TWiT because this whole Occupy thing is getting pretty hot, especially in Oakland. And I looked, and they were right. It was actually, I think I was supposed to be right there.
I think
You sure? I don't know.
I think you will. No?
We'll see. Hold on.
No, you
Actually,
are.
yeah, you're right. Huh. Thank you, Lord. Okay. So, moving right along. So, the whole Occupy Oakland thing was pretty big, and so I kind of said, you know what, you're right. We're just going to call it the TWiT meetup. So, we get there, and I bring all of that up because I'm setting it up for what happened a little later. And so Anna and I both got to sit in and talk with Leo, and actually she got to tell Leo about fighting anorexia.
I did, and he was very impressed. He was like, good on you for talking about it, and he knew a bit about mental, disorders and eating disorders and all that. So that was very exciting, seeing him check out my website and everything. That was, yeah, I got nervous. I really was, but he liked it, so that was fantastic.
Now, Anna, that when he did that, of course, it wasn't on the radio, but there were probably about 2,000 or 3,000 people who were watching live.
I know, and that was the most amazing thing that could have happened to me. I mean, I went there and I never even thought I would, I didn't think about talking to him or having a conversation with him, and that happening was very cool.
So just think about this, though. 2,000 or 3,000 people listening or viewing the live stream for Leo, and he talks about fighting anorexia. How many of those 2,000 to 3,000 people either suffer from, struggle with, or know somebody who has anorexia?
A lot. Like I said, I know that in the US alone there are 11 million people. So I can do the math, but there will be a lot of those 2,000 to 3,000 who, have some kind of, who are touched by this disease in some kind of way.
Exactly, and I think that the point that I'm making is I think you may have just picked up a couple extra subscribers.
I know. I really hope. I really hope so.
I do too. So after we got to sit in on almost the entire Tech Guy show, and then immediately after that, Leo's like, "Do you want to do an interview?" And
he was the one who asked you. That was like, I was like, okay. It was almost as if it was set up. I thought that you might have emailed or anything, but I knew you didn't. But he totally wanted to be interviewed by you.
Yeah.
He totally did.
He did, and oh my goodness, it was awesome. We did it at the TWiT roundtable, and it was just awesome. It was great, and what's amazing is I wasn't nervous at all. I mean, and the cool thing is, I got to talk to Leo, and I got him to say on a podcast what I've never heard him ever say on a podcast. I've heard him say it in live streams, in between episodes and stuff like that, but I got it on the record. I now have on the record where Leo is telling everybody how much revenue is coming in, the percentage of what the breakdown is between audio, video, live stream, all that other stuff. Not only that, but I also have it, my friends. Leo Laporte officially has confirmed podcasting is not dead.
Yeah, he did. I was there. I mean, what more do you want?
It was amazing. And of course, that will be released as a future episode of Podcast Answer Man.
Yes. You have to release that. It was a great interview. You were very professional, and it was great. It really was. We were all like drawn in, and we were excited for you. I think in that moment, I know afterward you were very giddy, and your mind was blown, like you said, but I sat there and I was super excited for you while you were doing that interview, because I know how much it meant to you.
It meant way so much to me. It was great. So, right after that, of course, Twitter just was afire with everybody like, oh my gosh, Cliff, I just saw that. Of course, the interview was on it was on the live stream, like literally thousands of people watching it live. And it was like, oh, that was amazing. And so I'm sitting there, and I put on Facebook, I literally said this. I said, well, it's official. I have to come up with some new dreams, because I have just achieved. Every dream I've ever set for myself has now been realized. And I am not kidding. Every single dream I have ever set my mind to has become a reality. That was it. It has become a reality.
Unbelievable.
And I have to come up with new dreams. And it was just awesome. And then after this weekend, and then we watched This Week in Tech being recorded live, which was really cool.
It was very funny, and I loved the two guys who were there. It was very enjoyable. And I have to say, Leo is a super funny guy. He's hilarious.
One of the things that I talked to Chris Biting this evening, because I called him and talked to him, and he says, "So tell me, Cliff, is Leo the real deal?" And he is. He is the real deal, my friends. And it's not just because he knew who I was. I'm telling you, he is a genuine person. What I mean by that is he's not like really nice, on his podcast, and then he's like, one of those people who's like, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, because in a way I was afraid that there was this small bit of fear that I would come all this way. I would go and introduce myself to him, and he would act a little bit interested in who I am. Well, maybe doing something else and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, here, let's get a picture. Let's have you sit here. Let me put this hat on you. Yeah, okay. Next, move along, Cliff. Go. I've got other people to see. Come on, don't. But man, it was not like that at all.
No. And I can only say, he was interested in what I was doing, and like I said, he checked out the website, and he was, he was just very real, the entire time, and like you said, genuine.
And the other thing is, and it wasn't just us, but we had other GSPN community members there. We had Brad Shiflett was there. I think Ty's last name was Ty Whitman. We had Rabbi Steve Vale. We had, oh goodness, I know one more was there. Help me out. Brad Shiflett, Ty, Rabbi Steve, and... Well, was there somebody else?
No, that was it.
Okay, so anyway, but the thing is Leo was just as genuine with them, and it really was. It's like, he when he stopped to talk to you, he's not thinking about something else. He's there. He's fully present, and I really enjoyed meeting Leo. And I just want to tell you guys, it's confirmed. Leo Laporte is the real deal, and I know that the reason why he's achieved success is because he really does. He genuinely does care about people.
Yeah, I can agree. And we have more to tell you. And I think right before he left, that proves it all. That proves how, that he has a sense of humor. Yeah. And that, it was just great.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. And by the way, when I say all that stuff, when you hear my BlogWorld talk, Leo Laporte, the first 30 minutes of my BlogWorld talk was not about strategies for bringing in income. It was the foundation. It was the formula for success. I shared the formula for success. And Leo Laporte has every bit of the formula for success. And that's why he has achieved what he's achieved.
And he shared that in the interview as well. When he was like, how can you achieve the success that I have? Well, I have so and so many years of experience, and I've built my audience, and I have the relationships, I think.
Absolutely. And so Leo Laporte's real deal, TWiT, and then after TWiT, Leo literally had to bolt. Yeah. He had to head out immediately to catch a flight. He's heading to Las Vegas to speak at a convention on marketing and SEO and all this other stuff. But here's the thing, though. Where are we at, by the way? We're only 2.4 miles from our destination, wow. So we're going to need to wrap this up. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and pause now, and we'll be back as soon as we pull into our parking lot. We'll quickly wrap up the show, but I do need to pay attention while I get off this expressway, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we are back. So where were we? We still had a little bit to share. So we had just finished up TWiT. Leo had to bolt, I think is where we left off.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so after Leo had to bolt, then afterwards, he says, you guys... Oh, and he had to leave early. He had to kind of wrap This Week in Tech up. Normally, This Week in Tech would go 2 hours, and I think they only did like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. So it left like 45 minutes of what people would normally get on the live stream. And he says, why don't you guys just do something? He was talking to Baratunde Thurston and Nick from New York Times. And he says, you guys just to get over. And so Baratunde got into Leo's chair, and the two of them were talking. And then they started talking, and you said something, and they invited you to come up.
Yes. Well, they were talking about, why they couldn't use... why you can't use electronic devices during takeoff or flights or you know, and I heard Father Roderick ironically talking about that in not Father Roderick but in an episode of Pan Am. You know, Father Roderick is Joint Base Judas and a pilot, and they talked about it, and I was like, okay, well, I know something about that, and I started to talk, and they invited me to come join them, and so I shared my opinion, and yeah.
Oh, wait. Live on TWiT,
which was, I just said something. I didn't want to go there. I just talked. And, because, obviously that's what I like to do. And yeah, so I was done with my segment, and then there was, a seat. And then it was empty, and...
They said, anybody else want to come up? And of course, I'm like, okay, I'll come up. And so I sit down. They asked me to introduce myself, and of course I did. And so I got to, another plug for Podcast Answer Man and stuff like that. And they started talking about Occupy Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really want to share any of my political opinions or anything like that and stuff like that. So, that's just not who I am, and it's not what I do. So they got to talking and stuff like that. But I actually got to talk about something that I'm passionate about. I kind of said, hey, what I love is that we all have a message, we all have a voice, and you know what? You don't have to actually sit on a street and do that. You can pick up a microphone, and we have so many things, and that got them talking and stuff like that. And we talked about the fact that I don't know how it got, but
it was like everybody can share what they think, and you can do it from your home. You can do it wherever you are. You don't need that 1% of the population to tell you, or you don't need the platform. You can just share your voice wherever you are, and that got them talking.
Exactly, and they were talking about and I started saying you don't need a program director to give you permission.
Exactly,
and we started talking about permission, and he says and sometimes it's nice to have a platform, kind of like Leo's platform. And it's like, but wait a second, we're on it. We've occupied TWiT. And so all of a sudden you start singing, it's like hashtag Occupy TWiT. It's like, dude, I came up with that. Yes. I didn't say anything, but I was thinking, it's like, this is so cool. I mean, how amazing. Because I came up with the thought of Occupy TWiT.
And it happened. And
here I am. I'm sitting there. Leo had to leave early, and I have occupied TWiT. I did it.
You did it.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we went out to dinner. We went to Central Market in Petaluma. A wonderful restaurant. They don't have any Diet Coke, just so you know.
Yes, don't ever get there when you need, Cliff and I, when you're kind of obsessed with Diet Coke. They don't have any diet products at all.
No diet products, except for water.
Yes.
Which the water was good, though.
It was.
It was good water. But we had a wonderful dinner. There was 5 of us. It was myself and Anna and Brad and Ty and Steve.
Yeah.
It was a great time. I don't know. We spent a couple hours there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. I had a very good, some very good conversations. Which, again, I have to say, I hadn't met any of the guys before, and there was no boundaries, nothing that... We were just talking as if we've known each other forever, and I love that.
It was awesome.
It was.
Well, my friends, I share all of this, and I want to tell you what, I think it was Thursday night, I was looking through, or Thursday night. Yeah, it was Thursday night. I was looking through TWiT chat. I don't know if you've ever used a TWiT chat before.
No.
It's where you can go tweetchat.com and you can type in a hashtag, like hashtag BWELA. And what it does is it's almost like a live chat room of anybody who's tweeting at the moment with that hashtag in it. And it's really cool at conferences. I should have told you all about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was looking, and this one person had spammed the tweet stream with a link back to his own site, and it says the whole truth about BlogWorld LA. And it was this very negative thing about the cost of it and all of the reasons why this is a total farce and you shouldn't even waste your time or money, and this is how horrible it is, and it was so negative, and so, I mean, it was really negative. And I refuse to tell you who this person is because I'm not going to send a single person to his site. It was horribly negative.
Was it?
But let me say, you flew from Switzerland. BlogWorld, was it something that you would recommend to other people?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm going to go to BlogWorld New York. It's an experience. It's if you love blogging, if you love podcasting, if you love what we're doing, if you love to build relationships with people who have the same interests, it is more than worth it. Absolutely, every penny, and it's not cheap. It has a price. It definitely does, but it is worth it.
And especially for BlogWorld LA, it was an amazing facility that we had. And you know what? It's not cheap to put all of that together.
No, absolutely not. And the speakers were great. And no, it was just all in all an amazing journey, an amazing trip. I'd do it again.
Absolutely. And I got tons of video footage that over the next several weeks, maybe months, I'll be releasing, some stuff out there. And it was great. It was totally an awesome experience, my friends. And I encourage you, BlogWorld is a blast.
Yeah. And I think I can speak for both of us. We'll have... these memories will last for a very, very long time, and there's going to be, a lot of reflection in the coming days. I think there was so much to take in, and so many great opportunities that will happen in the next few weeks, months. I don't know. It's definitely going to last.
Yeah, and the networking that we had it'll benefit us for years to come. And my friends, I just want to encourage you, go to BlogWorld. And I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to convince my good friend Rick Calvert from BlogWorld to listen to this. And if he doesn't, just listen to it anyway. But Rick, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity. And if you ever want me to come and speak at a BlogWorld again...
He needs a keynote. Cliff needs a keynote.
I would love to keynote.
Yeah.
If they had a podcasting track, I would love to keynote it. Anyway, that's my next stream.
That should be your next stream.
That's my next stream. I want to see Cliff Ravenscraft and next to the word keynote somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see if it happens. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Podcast Answer Man, where we encourage you to take your show to the next level. Again, I always say this at the beginning of every episode. It doesn't matter if you're just now starting, because we all have to start somewhere. It doesn't matter if you've been podcasting for many years. You know what? I've been podcasting for many years, and I'm always learning something new. And if you haven't started your first episode yet, my friends, let me help you get started. Let me help you for free. Go to learnhowtopodcast.com. There is no obligation. I don't even force you to give me your email address. No commitment whatsoever. 100% free. I spent more than 50 hours putting that 2-hour tutorial together. Go check it out. Learnhowtopodcast.com. If you want to take it to the next level beyond that, I would love to help you out. Give me an email. Send me an email. Cliff@podcastanswerman.com. God bless you all. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.